Hello kings and queens, my name's Joanna and this is my YouTube channel, The Art of Life and Love. It's an extension of my wellness and creative writing blog, also called The Art of Life and Love. I'll put a link to it down below. This is a place where I share my top tips and techniques for how to improve your mental, spiritual and physical health, based on my own personal experiences. If you like what you see today, if you could press that thumbs up to let me know that you liked it and you'd like to see more content like this. If you could also press that subscribe button, and if you like, press the bell notification to get a notification every time I release a new video, which will be every Tuesday. So many of you may have seen my previous video, What is Depression? This is what a depressive episode looks like. If you haven't, I'll put a link to it somewhere down here so that you can go have a look after this. I showed myself in the midst of a depressive episode. Well, for those of you who do suffer from depressive episodes such as I do, it may sometimes feel like they come out of nowhere. They just smack you, boom, you're depressed. But that's not the case. And now that my cycles are a lot shorter, so I now only kind of have depressive episodes that last days, maybe weeks if it's a really bad one. But compared to when I used to spend months and months and months in that mind state, in that mental state, in that dark depressive episode, I can handle a few days now and I'm so much happier because of it. But because my cycles are shortened, it means that I can now take note of the actions, the signs and the symptoms that occur before my depressive episode. What this means is that now that I can recognize the signs that a depressive episode is coming, I can start to do things, I can start to be proactive. And it may mean as well that in the future, one day, hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll be able to completely stop my depressive episodes in their tracks. But for now, I'm happy simply to share with you what my signs are, what my symptoms are, what my triggers are with you guys, so that potentially some may resonate with you, some may not. But the main idea is I want you to start looking at what happens to you before you have a depressive episode. What are your signs? What are your behavioural patterns? What do you always do? What always happens to you? What are the thoughts that always go through your mind? Once you begin to start tracking those symptoms and signs, it means that you can start predicting when your depressive episodes are coming. And it may even mean that you can act proactively to halt them in their tracks, which is huge. So, without further ado, let me share my top signs and symptoms for when a depressive episode is coming. So the first thing that I notice when I'm beginning to fall into that low mood pattern, when I notice that my depressive episode is on its way, is that I completely forget to eat. And I mean that genuinely, I forget to eat. And I'm a massive foodie. I love my food. Look at me, I'm a big girl. I love to eat. So it's a huge thing that days will go by and I won't have eaten anything. A day will have gone by and it'll get to 4 p.m. and I'll have noticed that I haven't even taken a sip of water or a bite of an apple. And I'm still hungry, that's the thing. It's not like I'm not hungry. Sometimes I do, but I don't always lose my appetite. Sometimes I'll be laying in my bed ravenous, just my stomach making noises and stuff. But I just cannot be bothered to get up to go downstairs. It may just be that food becomes unappealing to me. But that's a huge thing for me. When I stop eating, when my appetite decreases, when I forget to eat or drink, that's when I know that something huge is coming. And it's quite good because that one happens every single time without fail. I've never had a depressive episode where I didn't have a period of low appetite beforehand. If this is something that resonates with you, I do have a few things that you can try. So for me, I like to bulk cook. So potentially like every Sunday, I will just go to the shops, buy stuff for 2 meals that I know will last me throughout the week. I'll cook it and then I'll just store it in Tupperware, either in the fridge or in the freezer. It makes going downstairs that much easier to get food because I know that all I need to do is just microwave it. So if that helps for you, then I suggest bulk cooking. So I would suggest cooking 2 different meals, and that way you have variety throughout the week, but you don't have to worry that much about cooking. Another thing you can do is you can keep a food journal, whether that's on an app. I know there's loads of free apps out there where you can track what you eat. And I'm not talking about calories. I'm not talking about fitness trackers, calorie trackers, anything like that. I'm just saying track what you eat every day. If you track what you eat, then it will make it 100 times easier to see when you either your appetite increases, because some of you, it may be the complete opposite. It may be that you feel depression coming on, so you just want comfort, and so you go for the junk and the sugar and the salt and the grease, and I'm making myself hungry right now. But it may be that your appetite increases. So either way, if your appetite increases or decreases, it is such a good idea to keep a journal, because you can monitor any variation in your appetite. Another thing you can do if you are going through like a decrease in appetite and you can't be bothered to eat is I have just a bowl of mixed nuts by my bedside table, and that way if I am feeling peckish but I know that I'm not going to bother to get up, I can simply reach across and grab some. You can have nuts, you can have fruit like tangerines or something that will store easily in your room, but I recommend keeping snacks nearby just to make sure that you're eating even if you can't be bothered to go downstairs and have an actual meal. So the second sign that my depressive episodes are coming back is that all self-care rituals go out the window completely. I will not look after myself at all in any respect, in any regard. And it's a little bit gross because I'll spend all day in bed, I won't bathe, I won't eat, I won't look after my skin, I won't put anything in my hair. I will just literally roll around the apartment looking like a tramp. And self-care means so many different things to so many different people. So it may be that you notice that you stop taking care of yourself, but that manifests itself in different ways. But for me personally, it means that I stop looking after myself physically. I stop doing anything that is like self-care related. I won't even light incense, and I love my incense. I use like 100 a day. So when I notice that I haven't lit an incense for like a couple days, then I know that something's going wrong. And it is hard to spot. It is harder than you think to spot when you stop looking after yourself, because you may try to just justify it to yourself. Like with the no bathing, if I haven't been out in a couple of days, or if I know I'm not going out in a couple of days, I'll justify it to myself by saying, who am I bathing for? That's an actual thought that goes through my head. Who am I bathing for? That's how you know I'm depressed. But all self-care will go out the window. I won't exercise, I won't move, I won't look after myself, I won't pamper myself, I won't bathe, I won't eat. There's a complete shutdown of responsibility for myself. But now that I've noticed this, and now that I can start to hear it when I justify things that aren't really justifiable, like not washing, I can start to recognize that it's a sign something is coming, or that there has been a change in my mood. And what I will do once I've recognized this is I will go to my go-to self-care ritual, which is a bubble bath. I love me my bubble bath. So I will run a hot, delicious bubble bath. I will put orange essential oils because I just love the smell of orange. Orange, coconut, and sometimes tea tree oil goes in my bathtub, along with Epsom salts. I put a nice candle on the side. I light an incense. I put on my theta wave beats on Spotify and I chill. In fact, I might have a bath after this because I could use some chill time right now. But that's what I do. But what you can do is you can go to your self-care ritual. If that's taking a walk, if that's going to the gym, if that's applying foundation every day, if that's doing something skincare or hair care related. Once you realize that you are letting yourself go and you are not taking care of yourself, I recommend just trying to do the one thing that you know will encompass self-care, that will cheer you up, and start looking after yourself. What I do is in my phone calendar, I've put in every single Sunday. It's a recurring thing every Sunday, and it's just called Self-Care Sunday. And that reminds me that on Sundays, I need to look after myself. But when I'm in low mood, or when it may have slipped my notice that I'm not looking after myself, having something, a visual reminder every week called Self-Care Sunday reminds me, oh, okay, today I need to have that bubble bath. Today I need to look after myself. And it makes sure that at least once a week I am taking care of myself. The third thing that kind of lets me know a depressive episode is coming is when I encounter my triggers. Now, I will make another video on what triggers are and how you can kind of prevent yourself from being so intensely triggered. But I have a trigger, and some of you may have heard me mention it before. Basically, my old home, where my dad still lives, is a very triggering place for me. It's a place where I've been at my very, very, very lowest. It's a place where I didn't really feel safe for a certain amount of time. It's a place where when I go back, I walk in and I kind of leave with this layer of soot on my skin. It's really hard to describe. It's like I walk into that place and vroom, like a heaviness, like soot, like rain, like dark silk just kind of clings to me. And that stays with me even after I've left. And I do it every time. And I tell myself, don't go back to that place for a little bit. You know it triggers you. You know the people there trigger you. Don't go. But sometimes you need to. Sometimes you can't help it. Sometimes you have to enter an environment that you know is a trigger. But once you understand that that place or that person triggers you and you know that you've encountered them, it means that you can take steps to lessen the amount that they have triggered you. So what I do is I will come home, I will sage myself, I will sage the hell out of myself until I feel cleansed. I will meditate, I will try and do my releasing ceremony where I let go of things by writing them down on a tiny piece of paper and burning them. I'm a very visual person, so it helps to see that things are released from me. So that's one thing I would recommend to you guys, is to look out for your triggers. And don't be blindly triggered. Know your triggers. Know exactly who triggers you. Know exactly what triggers you, so that you can A, act proactively to avoid those triggers, but B, so that you understand once you've come into contact with those things, people or environments, that you are now more at risk of a depressive episode and you need to take steps to look after yourself and cleanse yourself from whatever negativity or toxic energy has laid itself over you. So another sign that I am beginning to withdraw, that I'm beginning to kind of fall into this depressive mindset, is that I will begin to retreat. I will self-isolate without any government imposing that on me. I will self-isolate. I will not be talking to my friends or family, either on the phone or in person. I will decline all outings, all invitations. I will not even go downstairs and talk to my aunt. I will stay in my room, stum, not talking to anybody, and that's me. That's me for however long I stay in that bubble. My advice would be to reach out to people who suffer from the same things you do. If you have OCD, reach out to people who have OCD. If you have depression, reach out to people who have depression. You can, if you don't have any friends who suffer from these things, then you can reach out to forums. There's Reddit, there's Tumblr, there's Facebook groups. There are apps, there are social meetup groups, there are helplines that you can call. You do not have to suffer in silence. You do not have to suffer by yourself. So when you find yourself self-isolating, I would beg of you to please reach out to at least one person, at least one. The fifth thing that I begin to notice when I'm kind of heading towards a depressive episode is that I start to lean really heavily upon my crutches. And what I mean by that is a crutch is something that you use to kind of make yourself feel better. It's something that is comforting. It's something that feels safe. It makes you feel better. It may make you feel less inside that bubble. For example, like if you smoke or if you drink alcohol, it's something that will dampen the emotions that are within you. So yeah, crutches can be drinking, smoking, eating too much. It could even be overworking. So if you're a workaholic and you're throwing yourself into your work to the point where you're exhausting yourself and killing yourself, that is a crutch. I've come to realize that I am a bit of a workaholic. Even though I would self-identify as a lazy person, when I actually am passionate about something, for example, I'm passionate about this blog, about this YouTube channel, I will work myself to the bone, constantly writing, constantly filming, constantly thinking, even when I'm trying to go to bed when I'm trying to go to sleep at night, constantly thinking about the next thing that I can write, the next video that I can make. That's a crutch. Overworking is a crutch. So yeah, with my crutches, one thing I'll find is that I am working too much and not allowing myself any breathing space, not allowing myself to do anything else but work. That's a crutch of mine. I also smoke very heavily, so that becomes a crutch, and I kind of notice that I'm smoking more and more, and it's not restricted to just the evening. I start smoking throughout the day. It used to be alcohol, so I've tried to cut down quite a lot of my alcohol intake, but especially in my younger years, my early years, I was drinking a lot, and I can only see now that it was a crutch and that it was a coping mechanism. But yeah, I've tried to cut alcohol out now because it really does bring your mood down. So try not to use alcohol as a crutch. Try not to use smoking or working or chocolate as a crutch. But if you do start to indulge in those things more and more, then it may be a sign that your mood is suffering and that a depressive episode is coming. Another sign that a depressive episode is coming for me is that I will start to sleep all the time. I will not get up in the morning. So usually I have big windows. You guys can't see, but I have big windows, like kind of almost wall to wall, and it faces the southeast. So I wake up with the sunset usually. Sunset will wake me up in the morning. I'll have a routine of going to the gym for 9:30, if I'm not depressed. So basically, if I start sleeping through the sunrise and I stop going to the gym in the morning and I'm suddenly waking up at around midday, it starts to affect my mood. So it's kind of like a vicious cycle. I'm sleeping more because I'm becoming more depressed, but the fact that I'm sleeping more is making me more depressed, which means that I sleep more. And it's just this spiral effect, and suddenly, boom, you crash. But if I start to become lethargic, if I start to become unable to motivate myself enough to get out of bed, if I start sleeping through my normal waking times, and if I start sleeping excessively and smoking and sleeping and smoking and sleeping, then I know that something is wrong and something is coming. And that's when I start to implement my step-by-step, day-by-day mantra of trying to get out of bed and trying to start doing things again. So I recommend, if this is something that you have, if this is something that you notice, that you start to sleep way more, that you're really lethargic, you have no energy and you can't be bothered to do anything, if you're just lying in bed overthinking and wondering why you can't do anything, why you can't stop, what you're going to do next, then I recommend going and reading my article. It will give you some top tips on how to overcome that. And then finally, is that I become extremely irritable. When I start to get irritated by the tiniest things, like when small things start to get to you, when you start to become super irritable, super moody, you're snapping at people. And the thing is, like, we understand that we can feel ourselves doing it. It's just very hard to stop. And it makes us not like ourselves. Like, I don't like who I become when I'm really irritable. I don't like that I snap at the people that I love for no good reason. I don't like that my whole day is ruined by something that's really small and insignificant. But now that I understand that when that starts to happen, when I start to get irritable, it either means that my period's coming, or it means that a depressive episode is coming. And funnily enough, actually, now that I think about it, the signs that a period's coming, the signs that a depressive episode is coming they kind of cross over quite a lot. Us ladies suffer. So basically, when you start to become super irritable about things, I would recommend just trying to calm down. I was going to swear then, but I recommend calming down. And you can try and do that anyway. You can try eating, because sometimes we're just hangry and you need that Snickers bar. I would try meditating, because sometimes it's because you have so much anxiety bundled up in here that the smallest things just kind of make you shoot beams of irritability out. Like some kind of superwoman who just shoots irritation wherever she goes. But I would recommend meditating, again, having that ritual bath to calm yourself down. Try watching something funny as well. Turn on Netflix, put on a comedy, laugh. It's the best healer, it really is. It's the best medicine. Do something that takes your mind off of your bad mood. Do something that takes your mind off of your irritability. Apologize to people that you snap at, because even though it's not your fault, and even though it's your mental health is disintegrating and that's why you're reaching out, it doesn't mean that you have the right to offend people. So you should still apologize to others and try and educate them as to why you're feeling this way. A lot of the people around us are so concerned. They can tell more easily what our signs are and when our moods and things start to shift and change. So another thing that you can do is you can ask other people to look out for your signs and symptoms that a depressive episode is coming. If they start to notice that you've withdrawn, if they start to notice that you're not eating, that you're sleeping all day, that you're smoking and drinking and doing all of these things, if they start to notice that you're snapping at them way more, then that's such a good thing, because it means that they can tell you, they can reflect back to you and say, look, you're beginning to display these patterns of behaviour. Are you sure you're okay? Do you want to take steps? Do you need to talk? Do you need someone to listen to you? So yeah, those are my main signs and symptoms that a depressive episode is coming. And I'm telling you that every single one of those things happened to me before my episode happened in my previous video. Every single one. I want your depressive episodes to go away completely, first of all. But if that's not going to happen, then I want them to at least be shorter, so that you're not spending months and months and weeks in this depressive cloud. I want you guys to be able to start being proactive. I basically want you guys to start being able to prevent your depressive episodes. That's what I want for you. That's what I want for myself. This is why I'm sharing these with you. I hope you start tracking your signs and symptoms, your moods, your behaviors, so that you can apply these fixes to your own life. I really hope you've enjoyed the video today. I hope my advice helps. I hope that you can implement some of my advice. If you liked what you saw today, please press that thumbs up button to let me know. Subscribe to my channel so that you can get notifications when my videos come out. You can also do that by pressing the notification bell button. Until next time, guys, take care.